Welcome to Joy in Our Town, and I'm your host, Bishop Mitchell Taylor. And today's issue is going to be homelessness. And we have as our guest, Pastor James Ryan, and what I call Enrique C. And he can interpret the C later on. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. We're real excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourselves first.
I'm the pastor of the Lighthouse Mission, located in Bellport, Long Island.
And Enrique, you have to explain the C.
Well, my name is Carabjal. Come from Mexico, and I'm part also of the Lighthouse Mission. I'm in charge of the coordination of the outreaches, and also the pastor for the Hispanic community there.
Excellent. So getting right to the issue of homelessness, because that seems to be a hot button issue right now. I'm just amazed that you guys are operating in Long Island, Bellport, Long Island, where I would think that there's no homelessness, there's no real major issues. I would think of that as the suburbs, and you know, what is the issue? What is the homeless issue that you guys are faced with out there?
Yeah, I mean, many people think Long Island is just a place for people who have money and it's people are really comfortable, but that's not the case. In fact, this year, we're seeing the most homelessness we've ever seen, and it's just regular people now. It's just moms and dads who worked, you know, grandmas and grandpas who had a job and they lost it. And they're on either they're homeless or on the brink of homelessness, or they're living in a shelter, or even worse still, they're actually living on the streets.
But where does homelessness begin? Where does it begin in Bellport?
Well, we go to 10 different locations around Long Island.
Okay.
We're a mobile food pantry.
Okay.
So we get to see it all over Suffolk County and Brookhaven. And it starts really, we're seeing just people losing their jobs. For the first time ever, they don't know what to do. They've lost their job. So homelessness
begins at the loss of income. You're saying that as the initial genesis of their problems.
Absolutely.
Do you think that is 90% of the problem, 80% of the problem? What percentage of that would you say a person's loss of income causes homelessness?
I'd say 90% of the problem. They lose they've lost their job that they've worked for a long time, and they've never been in this position before. They don't know what to do. How do I get help? Where do I go? Is help available to me? They don't even know what to do. And many times they're living from paycheck to paycheck as it was. So when they lose that income, that's where they find themselves either on the street, shuffling around, trying to find some place to live. And many times it's with families. So we're seeing little kids. We're seeing little kids. I went and visited a family. You know those storage containers that you might see in the back of a truck?
The pods type?
Yeah, but like more like the ones that containers.
Oh, the U-Haul.
Like a container from like.
Okay.
I go to this yard, and these people are showing me where they live, and they've set up a pseudo apartment inside of the storage container.
Ah, I know what you're talking about.
With little kids. Wow. Another thing we're seeing is people are living in storage places, like place where you store some boxes and things. They're living in those now.
Wow, you know, that's amazing, because we have a storage unit, and I went to get some stuff out of storage with one of our staff members, and I noticed that a guy was in one of the storage bins next door. He had a chair, a lamp.
It's a real good possibility that he's living in there. They're less money. You know, they're a few $100s a month as opposed to $2,000 a month, and they put a little heater in there or a lipo or whatever, and they just live in there. It's not safe.
Enrico, can you give us some color on the homeless population that you serve? Give us some statistics.
Well, depending in what area you are, sometimes you can see 5% of the population. Sometimes in other areas you can see 20%. It varies, but many people is struggling. The economic times have been worse and worse and worse. This year has been an increase of 46% more people coming to us for food and assistance. Sometimes over the season, Thanksgiving or Christmas, the phones are ringing to the top. Many people, they don't have enough. They are surviving, many of them. And sometimes they need to decide, instead of having a good meal that day, paying for other things. So it's a lot of need. And you will, like you were saying, you will believe that Long Island, well, everyone is doing well and nothing is happening. But for example, in Bellport, where we are, is one of the hot spots in the area. There's you go 1 block, 2 blocks, and you see the houses and you see the condition of the people. And we try to bless the people where we have.
How many people do you think you serve per year, Pastor Enrico? How many people do you think you serve?
Well, around 3,000 people we feed a week. We are talking about 125,000 people a year.
3,000 people a week? I want to ask another question, if I could. Do you see the population that you're serving changing? Is it not the traditional food assistance population? Do you see it changing? Can you speak to that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You know, what we're seeing is, again, when you envision homelessness, you're envisioning the guy with the beard and the scruffy coat, you know, pushing the shopping cart. And it's those guys, absolutely. Yes. Mm-hmm. But we're seeing now, it's grandma and grandpa, you know, they're out there. And again, these are people who work their lives, and they find themselves now in the situation, or it's a single mom, you know, who with kids, and they don't know what to do, and it's them. That's the face of homelessness now. It's the regular moms and dads out there right now that are struggling real hard.
What is it that you feel the average person walking down the street should know if they're approached or solicited by a homeless person? I mean, is it the right thing to give money? Is it? I mean, I don't know if it's our job to qualify whether they are real or not. Can you speak to that?
Sure we can.
Because, I mean, many people probably say, you know, they want to help, they want to do something, and...
Yeah, you know, and again, if God put something like that in their heart to give that money to that person, go for it, you know. But there's better ways to help people, and one of those ways is to connect with an organization like ours, like the Lighthouse Mission, where they can connect them with us, and we're better equipped to help those people, whether it's to get them into a safe housing situation, whether they need clothes, warm clothes for the children or for them. Perhaps it's assistance with food. We certainly can help with that. So definitely try to plug them into an organization that knows how to do this, that this is what they do, as opposed to trying to help them themselves.
I've been to your website, Lighthouse Mission, and you know, you guys have a fabulous work going on there.
Thank you.
The Office of Financial Empowerment here in New York City, that's run by the Department of Consumer Affairs, just released a report saying that now financial counseling is really paramount in breaking cycles of poverty in poor neighborhoods. I know that you guys are not just interested in dealing with but projecting, breaking some of those cycles and cultural norms that exist to make people fall into homelessness and that kind of situation. What would you say about the add-ons that you have besides giving food and assistance that way?
Absolutely. One of the programs we have on Saturdays is the children's programs, youth programs. And by the way, everything Lighthouse Mission does is free. Everything.
Excellent.
Nothing ever costs anything. And one of the things we try to teach these kids, we have over 100 kids that come, many of them coming from homeless shelters, coming from that situation. We're teaching them that poverty is not something that they have to embrace, okay? It's not something that they need to, like, well, my family's been poor, we're living in a homeless shelter, so it looks like this is what's gonna happen to me. It doesn't have to be that way. There are ways that they don't have to be, there are choices.
Right.
We push them towards education. We help them we have programs after school to help them with their homework, to mentor them and counsel them, including their parents, too. Because quite frankly, it's how difficult it is for someone to be a mom or a dad if they themselves have never had a mom or dad. So we teach them these areas as well.
And then I assume that the volunteers that you have, and I'm sure, and they're, you know, people that, you know, if engaged in conversation could, you know, encourage someone and mentor someone of sorts that come to the mission.
Absolutely. It's a one-to-one kind of a thing. The children will sit down, they have a mentor. It sits right there, right next to them, and they're there not only to help them with their homework, but they're there to kind of mentor them through life. So there's someone that they could always count on and call, including their parents. The parents can lean on them as well.
You know, I know that Lighthouse Mission is very holistic, very comprehensive, and your services are integrated. If a homeless person is watching us right now, what could they do to get shelter assistance, medical assistance, or, you know, Enrique, you want to speak to that?
Well, basically, what we try to first is try to help them in the basic thing, food, clothes, these programs, and then we try to, what we do is put them in other programs that we know that they can be a blessing for them. And what we try to do is to embrace everyone that comes, not even homeless people or any kind of people that is struggling, that is going through difficult times. So I know there's a lot of people outside, I see it in the streets day by day. There's a growing need, and that's why we are there for, to try to help in the basic things, but also trying to mentor them and try to direct them with education.
So
in
a
many
person
things.
watching this show knows a homeless person. They can go to your website, get a phone number, and call and get immediate help for people that in your catchment area. Excellent. Now, I know that you guys operate with a lot of volunteers. What would a volunteer expect if they came to Lighthouse Mission? What activities and efforts would they be involved in?
You know, there's a lot of training that goes into having to be with us. You have to go through these training courses, and there's a lot of certifications. I'm only kidding. Just show up, man. Just show up. You know,
I would say, whoa, okay.
You go to the website, you find out where our street outreach locations are.
Right.
It's the same time every week, every place. So, say for example, Quorum out by us. You know, it's 12 to 1 in a parking lot. We're there when it's 7. There when it's like blistering cold and snow. We're out there and we need help. And what will happen is they'll show up, help unload a truck with food. We'll put the food out on a line. They'd stand right behind. They'll be in charge of potatoes that day. And you'll stand there as people line up. It's very orderly. They'll line up.
I've seen that operation.
And they'll just smile and bless people and hand them the potatoes. And it's as simple as that. That's all that they would have to do. But for us, it would be tremendous because if they don't show up, we're unloading trucks. And we need their help tremendously. But that's one of the areas that they'd be able to help with.
Right. Let me ask another question. You know, you guys are fabulous. You're serving, you know, almost, you know, 150,000 people a year. Can you share what success looks like for you guys? Can you share maybe a success story?
Well, we have seen a lot of success stories
give us
coming
Give us
to
one.
us. For example, Alvin, he came to the mission. He was volunteering for a while, and he was struggling. We tried to speak to his life. We gave the basics. And then right now, he came the other day saying, "Hi, how are you?" He has a job. He recovered himself. He's doing fine. He went to having a regular job to reconcile with his wife. So we have seen over and over things like that. Kids that come to us in need and they're struggling, single mothers that are there, and we try to help them in sometimes it's beds, providing beds, or providing a fridge because they don't have a fridge to put their food. And you can see the improvement in their lives immediately. But also, what we try to do is to direct them in the right path. And we have seen many stories like.
That's excellent. You want to add something to that?
Yeah,
Pastor?
I mean, we had a mom, you know, who has. She called. They needed beds, and no one could help them. So we went to the house. We validated the need. There's this little girl. She's 3 years old, sleeping on the floor in like a little bit of a blanket, and she showed me where she slept, and it resembles someplace like where my dog at my house would sleep. Broke my heart.
Wow.
Local government agencies couldn't help them. They were on their own, and by the grace of God, we were able to help them get some beds. Excellent. And you would think it was Christmas time for this little 3-year-old when we showed up with these beds, and we put the beds in their house and with some pillows.
Well, Pastor, we have 30 seconds left. Tell me in 10 seconds, what's the future of Lighthouse Mission? 10 seconds.
Man, I can't wait to see what God's going to do next. We're looking towards a youth center to be able to expand our youth programs, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
Well, this is awesome, amazing work both of you guys are doing. Thank you for coming and sharing joy in the town, and we'll definitely be keeping your work on the radar because you guys are doing great work. You're doing God's work. Thank you so much, guys. I mean, this was an exciting interview, and the information you gave was great. So thanks for being enjoy in our town, and we look forward to seeing you guys again.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.